Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever it is you are watching from. My name is Bev Chahonyo. Welcome to Beverly Speaks. Once again, it is a beautiful Saturday evening, and my sister Kemi and I are going to be recording an amazing session. You guys will watch it on Sunday, the 20th of June, which is also Father's Day. So we are celebrating fatherhood, and we will talk more about that. I want to do a couple of things. Number one, celebrate my sister. I have a sister whose birthday is on the 20th of June. So I love you, baby girl. Happy birthday. I will call you and we will laugh together. So I just wanted to do that. As a way of introducing my guest today, she is no stranger to this platform, and I'm so excited to have her back. Her name is Kemi Oye. She is also known as the career doctor. She has been here before and we talked a lot. I think that was one of the we talked a lot, we laughed a lot. We talked some deep stuff. So if you want to hear more about who she is, what she does, and her story, there is another episode of Beverly Speaks where she is speaking, and I will put that link somewhere when I put this out. Other than that, we share a lot in common. So we are both girls. We are both in the HR space. We both love to talk. We love people. We love seeing people thrive. We talk a lot. We speak a lot these days on a daily basis, a lot. We share a mentor. He's an amazing gentleman. And I just want to say thank you to him because amongst all the things that FD has given me that I'm so grateful for as he's walked with me along this path of life, one of the things that he's given me that I'm just super excited about is my friendship with you, Kemi, because we met through him. So I'm excited. I'm super excited about that. And so just to begin to talk about the issue of celebrating fatherhood, I will say that the last time Kemi was here, we talked about her losing her mom, and we talked about that journey of grief. We talked about me losing my dad and that journey. And since then, Kemi has lost her dad as well. So within the space of a year, she lost both parents. So even as we're celebrating fatherhood, we're celebrating both of our fathers as they are happily celebrating in heaven, watching football and talking politics and doing the things that African fathers do in heaven. Kemi, welcome, my love. Welcome back to Beverly Speaks, and thank you for coming. Say hello to the people.
Hello, everyone. And thank you so much, Bev. You know, you talk about friendship, and when you mentioned it, I thought, you know what, it's such a precious gift. Having somebody you're able to share a lot of, not just stuff, but deep stuff. You know, just having someone to speak to all the time and somebody who shares, who thinks like you, is so precious. So thank you so much for being a friend and also for having me on your show. So thank you so much, Bev.
You are welcome. So also, as a way of kind of celebrating fatherhood, I would like to say that I have, and I've mentioned it a few times, but I am now here to officially say I have written a book. I know. That should be out next month. The name of the book is Hugs from the Father. So it's extremely appropriate that we're talking about fatherhood and that, you know, it's about to come out. It is about my journey through grief, losing my dad and everything that happened every step of the way since then, that assured me that not only was God watching over me and just opening doors and just hugging me and drying my tears and just holding my heart and, you know, scooping me up when I was a mess and covering me when I felt that my covering was gone. But I also felt so clearly every step of the way that my father's hand was in there, you know. There were things that I was like, oh, Dad, I know that's you. Only you could have gone up there and said, okay, God, we need to sort this chick out. Otherwise, she'll be a hot mess. So let's do this for her so that she knows. And so that's what the book is. It is a journal, a 31-day or 31 chapter journal that outlines different things that happened to me, especially in the very early days, and just celebrating that season as well. I never thought I would say I would celebrate that season, but celebrating it and knowing that I have come out on the other side. This month, next week, makes 3 years. And I miss him terribly. And we will talk about some of the things I miss about my darling, darling, darling daddy. But Kemi, how are you? How are you?
Wow, I am well as can be expected. I'm really well. Just a bit sad when I don't know, every time I hear, father or dad, I just think, wow, it's been what, 5 months? So he passed on the 15th of January. And it's a process. It really is a process. I'm comforted because, of the love of God. The love that God has for me just gives me that comfort to carry on every day. But it is really tough. I won't lie to you.
Kemi, I don't know if I'm losing you. Is that you or is that me?
It's probably. Can you hear me now? Ah,
Yes. Yes. Can hear you. We can see you. Now you're good.
okay, fine.
So just start again and tell us. You said whenever you hear dad or father, it's a bit.
Yeah, it's a bit. Sometimes I'm a bit teary. Sometimes, not all the time. Because the circumstances under which he left was quite drastic. So he wasn't unwell. There was absolutely nothing wrong with him. He just, I guess, had had enough and wanted to go because my mum had passed. And, a couple of months after the funeral, actually, exactly 2 months after the funeral, he left. And I think, just in my view, he was done. He was just. It was almost like I've got nothing else to live for. Now, the reason why I say this is because my dad suffered from 3 major strokes in his lifetime. Didn't die, recovered, was all well, was good. Wasn't disabled in any way, shape, or form. So for somebody who's been through so much, and all of a sudden mum goes and it's almost like there's no point to live anymore, just shows the power of love, actually, that how much he loved my mum, so much so that he just felt, I can't carry on without her. But yeah, so for me, it's really a process. It will take time. I'm still trying to get over my mum, and then off my dad goes, all in the space of 9 months. But I think what comforts me every single day is the love of God. And in the process, I think I mentioned this the last time when we spoke. I said, it was really about God saying to me, I am your father. And that has given me a lot of comfort, days where I feel, oh gosh, I wish I could speak to my dad. The days when you just feel like, oh, I just want to pick up the phone and speak to my dad or my mom. That's not going to happen anymore. So I take solace in the fact that God is my father, and he's got my back. He's got my back. He's there for me. And in the same way as I would speak to my dad had he been alive, I speak to God in the same way. So on one hand, I've lost my dad. On the other hand, I've drawn closer to God. So yeah.
Well, I will say the same thing I said the day I heard. I'm like, I just want to hug you. And soon we will get there. We are planning on it. A little getaway. We'll get there.
Yes.
But you've also taught me so much strength and resilience in just how you carry yourself. And I hope that somebody else out there feels that when they listen to this podcast or watch us, that they will be okay. That's for me, that's really what today is about, is telling somebody out there that, again, these are things that I never thought I would say, but it gets better. It doesn't get 100%. I mean, I had a monster of a week this week, and you kind of held my hand and carried me through that. I was a mess. I was a mess. I had a couple of triggers, which I'm now starting to recognize as triggers. Um, and then I just allowed myself to go through that wave because I think, and I've said this before, grief comes in waves.
Yeah.
So sometimes it just overwhelms you and swells over you and engulfs you. And then sometimes you get up and you can take a breath and you're like, okay, I can see the sky, and that's all I need right now. And most days I'm good. Most days I'm really good. And then some days I'm like, not so good. And this time it was like this week hit me like a ton of bricks. But I'm here. I'm still here. And I think you'd be proud of me. Um,
Yeah, sure he will be. Because it's okay not to be okay. And this is what I say. You know, you can't, you're not expected to be superwoman. You're not expected to, just cope with it and get on with it because that's life. No, it's fine. We all need to take a step back sometimes and go, do you know what? I don't feel okay, but it's okay not to feel okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to shout. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to do all of those things as long as you don't stay in that zone. So I think you're doing well. You're doing fantastically well, Bev.
Thank you. So let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Tell me one of your favorite things about your father.
Oh, wow. See, my father was a very typical African man. Very typical African man. And one of the favorite things, I guess in hindsight, I can say it's one of my favorite things, but at the time it probably wasn't, is that the things he taught me, the things he imparted. So it was that of integrity. Okay, and I'll give you an example. So when I was back home in Nigeria, I had to write my exams to get into university at the time. So I had no plans to come back to the UK, right? And I did the exams and I didn't quite meet the cutoff mark to get into the university that I wanted to get into. Now, typically, most parents at the time would say, okay, fine, you didn't hit the grade, but I know a friend of a friend of a friend who can get you in, and that's okay. So we'll just go and speak to a few people. My dad wasn't like that. My dad said, nope, you've not hit the grade. I'm not going to be, saying anything to anyone about asking for favors because that's not right. We've got to make sure that you pass your exams for you to get into university. And at the time, I was like, what? Who does that? What kind of a father does that? Like, is he even my dad? Let me just go and ask my mom who my real dad is because, who does that? Every other child, every one of my friends, asking for favors. I mean, their parents are asking for favors. And my dad wouldn't because, do you know what? It's not the done thing. And I look back and I think, yes, at the time it wasn't kind, but I look back and think, wow, that has to be a really good thing. That has to be a favorite thing in terms of just bringing us up in the way of, having that integrity, having the boundaries. I'm not going to cross this boundary because this is wrong. Even in the world that we lived in then, it was no, I'm not going to do this because this is what I stand for. So when we talk about favorite things, I can talk about the soft and fluffy things, but I think for me that really, really stands out until today. That is something that my siblings and I have really, really taken to in terms of being a person of integrity, making sure that you have those boundaries really set. And I guess being a Christian also goes to help in some way. So I think that would be a favorite thing, even though it doesn't sound like a favorite thing. That is what I would like to highlight in honor of my dad.
I think for me, like you said, there's so many things. Oh my goodness. But looking at my childhood, my father really got me. He gave me my love for reading. He did.
Mm,
My dad would buy us books. And it's like read, read, read. And this was every holiday read. And he would literally take us to bookstore in Kenya and in Nairobi, and he would be like, pick a book. Everybody would pick a book and go home with a book. And he gave me my love for reading and my hunger for reading. My
Mm,
dad read extensively. I don't
wow.
even know where to begin. Um, so yeah, there's so many things though. There's just how big his heart was. Just
Mm,
how big. And then I would say I used to call him my very own private direct red hotline CNN Chahonyo News Network, because it did not matter where you were in the world. My dad would call and say, "Did you hear that there were riots in Tampa?" I'm like, "Isn't
gosh.
isn't that where I live?" you know, or you'd be in the office and he's like, you need to come home early because this and this road has traffic, or there's riots, or there's disruption, or there's an accident. I'm like, how do you even know these things? And he was just always on top of it. And then, but he cared. He just really, really, really cared. Just so many things. Um, I remember when I read my tribute to him, I said this, and we say this a lot, well, my siblings and I, that for me, he was my first Valentine. My dad
Yeah.
didn't matter where in the world we were, he would buy us, he would send us flowers on Valentine, and the girl in me, I'm like, oh my gosh, he sent me flowers. So there are things that I will miss, but there are things that I will never forget, so these are a few of my favorite things, to quote The Sound of Music. For those of us who are in the generation where we know what The Sound of Music is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Let me ask you this question. Tell me one of the funniest moments with him.
So, funniest moments. Okay. So, like I said, my dad's very typical African man. And so I remember growing up, well, I must have been around, well, in my teens anyway. And we had this restaurant open not too far away from the house. And my typical dad, he doesn't really eat out. He likes his homemade foods and, didn't really believe in eating out that much. My mom, on the other hand, was very different to my dad, and she would explore and go out, and we'd, dine out and all of this. Anyway, so this restaurant opens, not too far away from where we lived. And my mum's big idea was that, oh, let's all go out on a Sunday, have a meal and all of this. So we were really excited, and, that happened. So we got there, ate some food. It was really nice, relaxing. And then when we came home, so we spent a little bit of time towards the end, not just leaving there, but spent a little bit of time. And then when we got home, the next thing my dad says is, oh, can you make me some eba? I'm like, Dad, like, we just ate. And he goes, well, that wasn't quite food. That was bird food. Can you just go and make me my African meal? And everyone sort of laughed, like, again, who does that? Like, because he wasn't used to that kind of food, and he just didn't see it as proper food. So he felt, just go, what eba is, right? So it's cassava with, just made, well, it's a solid Nigerian food anyway. And he was like, no, until I've had that, I haven't really eaten. So what we just had was a starter, and, just make me my meal. And we couldn't stop laughing. And actually, till he passed, we always used to joke about it. Always used to joke about it. So that was one of my, yeah, funny moments with my dad, where he would just like behave so typical, so typical. Yeah.
I think for me, again, I don't think it's one moment, but it's a thing we did a lot together. We watched Nigerian movies together,
Okay.
and we would laugh. Like, he would laugh. He had a sense of humor. And when he got started laughing, and then it just went into this fit where there were tears rolling down his eyes. We had good times watching Nigerian. like really fun times. And then just some of the local Kenyan comedy shows. And we would just laugh. Like he'd be like, it's time to come and watch this. This show, at the time it was called the main actor passed, I think it was last year, sadly, but it was called Papa Shirandula, and it would come on Thursdays. And he's like, you're going to be late. You have to come and sit and watch. It's coming. Like he would call me on the phone. He's like, where are you? I've left the office. I'm on the way. But you know it's starting. And he would just crack me up the way I would sometimes have more fun watching him watching them than actually
Oh,
watching the show, because he would have this thing where he would laugh until tears were rolling down his eyes and he was coughing and he was just completely in a bowl of nothing and laughter. And I really miss that. I really, really, really miss that. um, um, so let me ask this. And we had said that this was not going to be that 1.5 hour podcast that we did the last. So we're
no.
doing good. We're 20 minutes, 21
Yeah.
minutes. So we're doing good. So why do you think it's important? Why do you think it's important for a girl to have a father or a father figure, a strong father figure in her life? You have a daughter. You are a daughter. Why? What do you think? What difference does it make?
Wow, it makes a big difference. It makes a massive difference. I can't tell you what the studies show, and I don't know the statistics, but I know that for girls who grew up without a father figure seem to crave for that love somewhere else in a man, and they tend to veer off. And this is not, I'm being too general here, where they haven't had that love and attention and assurance. They tend to not find themselves. So I think it's important for a girl to have that father figure, to just give them that, to show them that love and affection, and the confidence in that, you're beautiful, so that they have that assurance within the home confines and they're not seeking for that love outside. I think it's important that as a father, also for girls, you look up to your father. Most girls, I don't know, most girls look up to their father. So if you've got a really good father figure, then they look up to you. They look for the qualities that they should be looking for in their husband. And, if you've got a terrible father, unfortunately, you'd probably be attracted to a terrible husband, because it's almost like that cycle follows. So it's important for any father to be a good role model, not just to their sons, but to their daughters, because what they see in you, or what your girl sees in the father, they would tend to gravitate to see in the person that I guess they marry. So it's really important, that they're loved, and they're told that they're loved of their father, so that they're not seeking for that love outside. There's this strong bond, isn't there? This strong connection, when people say, "Oh, you're a daddy's girl." So girls tend to love that, cleave to their dad more than their mom, and I can say that for a fact because I wasn't that close to my mom, even though we had our ups and downs. I was close towards I guess towards when I got a bit older, I was, but much younger, I loved my dad. Couldn't do anything wrong. He could not do anything wrong. He was always right. And at some point, I thought, I want a husband like my dad, because that's what you feel that love, you connect, and you just want somebody. So the danger is, if you've got a terrible dad, that's what you're going to be looking for, and you won't know any different. Is my view.
I agree. I think um your dad should be your first role model, male role model, should be your first example of
Mm,
how you should be treated. Should be. It's not like that always. And I think for those of us who had that, I have to say, that I'm so blessed that I had that. And I did know that. I did know that. I like to say I am unapologetically daddy's girl. Always have been, always, forever will be, unapologetically.
Yeah.
It did not even matter if people teased me about it. I'd be like, is this supposed to be a bad thing? I'm waiting to, where's the joke? Like, I see no lie in your statement. Can we move on? But also growing up, I know of a lot of my friends, my childhood friends would be like, that's not normal, right? Like, it's not how everybody else is. It's not how everybody else's home is. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, but at the same time, and this is like a bit of a funny story. At the same time, that strictness that he brought, he brought it. So I remember one day we never did sleepovers. We just did not sleep at people's houses. We just no. I think I can name one person, my best friend from childhood, from class 6. I think that's the only person I remember, and that was few and far between. But
Yeah.
I remember asking him to go for a sleepover one day, and he had this look on his face. He said, okay, come with me. And I followed him to my room, and he said, what's this? I said, it's a bed. And what's this? It's a mattress. And he made me just go through all the beddings and everything. He said, so what are you missing? Um, I don't Tell me what you're missing so we can get it, because you want to go and sleep somewhere else. It means that there must be something that is not here that you're gonna find over there. So let's find a solution. And I was like, wow. Again, it didn't feel kind in that moment or in those moments, but it is one of the best. I am that chick who it doesn't even matter where I am or what time it is. I'll be like, I'm heading home now. Like, it's time for me to go to my home, to my bed, to yeah, I'm that person. And there's certain things that, like, he just grounded in me, that I will not accept certain things. And I've had people tell me, "Oh, your standards are too high." Well, that's okay. Again, I see no lie in that statement. My standards are high, and that's okay. Like, I'm okay with it. Now, if you're not okay with it, maybe we need to have a conversation, if it's even your business. But let's not go there. So there are things that I absolutely adore about how he raised me, and my relationship with him. Let me kind of just lead into another question that I didn't really outline when we talked earlier. What is the one characteristic that you get from your dad? Actually, no, what is the one physical attribute and the one characteristic that you get from your dad?
Wow. So let's see. Physical. It would have to be, let me think. I've never really thought about that. I think my body shape. My body shape has to be my dad's. I've got a longer, shorter upper body than my lower body. So I'm not one of your typical, I'm not, what's the word? So I've got longer legs than I have my upper body, if that makes sense. So physical. And then what was the other thing? My, what's the other
Characteristic.
thing? Oh, character. Oh. So it definitely has to be that I am so disciplined. It's unbelievable. And I've had to learn how to relax a little bit. I am super disciplined, like you would not believe. I think having children has made me relax a little bit, but I still have my ways around just being disciplined. And my father was such a disciplinarian. Oh my goodness. So a bit like yourself, there was no sleep what? There's no, what, like, you wouldn't even dare broach the subject, because it's not, like, how dare you? Going to, until I left home at the age of 17, I never went to a party. So, like how you have your friends and never went to a party, because you wouldn't even think about it, let alone ask if you're allowed to go. Don't even don't even think about it. So there are certain things that were just not allowed, and you wouldn't. And I wouldn't say I was deprived because it didn't matter to me. My brother wasn't allowed, and he was older than me, so who was I to be complaining about it? I never did. But my father was such a disciplinarian. It was bedtime, sleep time. Another thing, my father would never, I mean, if ever he caught you sleeping during the day, oh my goodness, he would ask you, are you pregnant? Or do you have children that you're looking after? Or what's the reason why you're having a nap during the day? Because what work are you doing? Like, my father was just such a disciplinarian. He just had a way about him, and I think I'm pretty much like that. So things have to be done properly, and why are you staying out till a bit late? And why are you not structured in your approach? At work, I can be a bit choleric, is the word. And I've learned over time, because I've got children, to just not be too uptight about things and relax. Because my husband is the opposite. He's a bit more laid back and like, hey, why are you so uptight about this? Like, can't they just, same thing about sleepovers. I'm like, what's wrong with your house? What? And it's funny because I was brought up that way, and I have that view that, why are you going for sleepovers? So this is my daughter in primary school going, oh, we're having a sleepover for what? What's the essence of doing that? And you tend to pick up the things that I have done, in that it's like, certain things aren't allowed, certain things can't be discussed, but I guess with time you relax and you allow those things because you think, you know what, it's not that deep. No one's going to die, and just be relaxed a little bit more. So yeah, I think it has to be discipline. It has to be 100%. Just not accepting things. So if I say to you, let's do this. So I had a meeting this week, interestingly, and I had a meeting with a couple of people. This was a church meeting, so we were going to talk about a strategy to move the teens church forward. And one of them said, oh, I'm only available for half an hour. I said, fine, that's fine. 6 to 6:30, that's okay. 6:02, he turns up. And I'm like, well, you've said you've only got 30 minutes. So I'm allowed to go over by 2 minutes because you arrived a bit late. And it's like, Kemi, come on. Like, do you really have to be that strict? But those are the kind of things that I mean. It's a bit like, boom, boom, boom. I've got to be like short, sharp, and yeah, but I am learning. I'm still, again, it's a journey. I'm still learning, but yeah, I can be a bit over the top like that.
So yeah, you are that chick in my life who's like,
Yeah.
Bev, did we say we're meeting at this time? Are you joining the meeting? And I'm like, whew, Kemi's calling. So I have learned just through our friendship to kind of just, yeah. I guess I would say for me, physical attribute is like this whole face, like this entire face. I used to say, slap a wig on him and we are twins. Like, that's it.
I love that.
No. I mean, for the longest time, I'd tell my mom, I still do it kind of just to nudge her. I'd be like, thank you for carrying me. That's it. That's it. And my mom says I've gotten to the point where I even, like, she looks at me and she's like, you even walk like him. I'm like, how did he walk? I mean, but I have a lot of for physical. I mean, and these eyes, these are my father's eyes, big eyes, my dad's eyes. For characteristic, I would say, and it's something that I have come to, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, up for discussion, but I would say my almost romanticized view of who people truly are. that over the years I've kind of had to slap myself. Because if you tell me that this is who you are, I believe you. And then when you prove otherwise, I'm like, but you said, like in my mind, I'm always like, but you said, if you say that this is who I am and this is what I want from you, I actually believe you. So when you do the opposite, it really baffles me. It really baffles me. I remember doing a test once where I wrote to a few of my very good friends and I asked them to describe me, like five words that describe me. And without a doubt, and this one really, I was like, really? Slap me in the face with bar none. All of them said, you can tend to be quite judgmental. In my mind, it's because if you say that this is who you are, then this is who you are. So if you're not who you said you are, then I'm like, okay. Do we need to talk about this? Then I've learned, no, we don't need to talk about this. I'll just remove myself from the situation to keep from hurting myself, wounding myself. So he just had this amazing ability to just forgive and forget and kind of move on. Like I'll be like we'd be getting angry on his behalf, and he'd be like, "What are you talking about again?" Like he had this uncanny ability. He had this uncanny ability to, like, you could walk up to him, ask him for something, and he does it for you. And then in 5 minutes, you slap him in the face. And then in 10 minutes, you need something and you come back to him and he does it for you again. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've got, well, I think I used to be like that. And then I went to the other extreme where I was like, the door is closed. We burnt the bridge. We blew up the whole valley. We built a moat and filled it with water and crocodiles. There's no coming back. There's nothing here for you. So now I'm kind of finding the balance of, okay, I mean, without walking in offense,
Yeah.
I can see you and wave and smile and move on, So, so yeah, I want you to give a toast to your husband as a father. Like what is it about him and how he
Wow.
fathers your amazing kids?
Wow. Wow. So, wow. That's deep for me because so we've been married 20 years. Where are we? 21 years this September. Um, and I've known him a long time. Just being together, morphing into one, if you like, has taken time. And when I say morphing into one, he's still got his ways, I've got my ways, but we've come to learn how to manage and work around each other. So appreciating each other. And for me, I really appreciate him because he is Nigerian, right? And he does the things that typical Nigerians wouldn't do. And so I appreciate him for the very little things that you might think, oh well, that's not quite. So till now, he would send me flowers and chocolate. He wouldn't think twice about going into the kitchen and just cooking. So I could decide, do you know what? I haven't got time for cooking. He'll just go, oh, Kemi again, she's not cooking. And then he just goes and does it and doesn't complain about it. He doesn't complain about doing anything at all for the home, for the children. He doesn't complain. He just does it so effortlessly. And I have to be grateful for that. Last year, where are we? 21. So last year, I got a job, and I had to travel quite a lot last year, up until March this year, actually. I had to travel a lot. So for most times, I wasn't home for weeks on end, and he didn't feel any two ways about it. He held the home, managed. Yep, the house may not have been as clean as I would like it to be, but you know what? He did, so so when did I used to come back home? On a Thursday evening, or whenever I had to come back home, everyone's like, right, let's tidy up the house because she's coming home. And but my point is, he was there, just being there, giving up everything to be at home, for me to go and do my job, and be away for 2 to 3 weeks sometimes on end, come back and just keep the home, is something really, it's quite admirable. I think not many people would feel happy doing that. Not many people would even do it at all. And even if they did, it would be with moaning and complaining and da 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 da. Da. But yeah, he did it so gracefully well. So he is such a kind. I mean, he cares too much, and I think this is something that he's probably working on. But he cares so much that it affects him. He cares about his siblings and his family, so much so that the things he shouldn't be worried about, he worries about. And that annoys me, because I think, why are you worried about it? Oh, no, 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 because it's got to be done, and this is. I think he's got such a good heart, I have to say. So I really thank him for being the person he is, for not changing, for not, because it's easy to try to become a different person when people tend to think, oh, you shouldn't be doing that as a Nigerian man. It's very easy to listen to that and not change. So I really appreciate him for for everything he's done, for everything he does for the children. Yeah, I absolutely appreciate him.
And what's the one thing about him as a father?
As a father, it's that, to his children, it's that compassion, it's that leading, it's that you can't do this, because he's a bit soft when it comes to, I'm the hard one, by the way. And I guess that's a good thing, because he's not too hard, he's not overly hard on them. So, for example, I remember the first party that my son Tisha wanted to go to. He was what, 17, 18, something like that. And I was like, nope, 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 he's not going anywhere. And my husband was like, you can't do that. You've got to allow him to grow up and, be the man that he is. And so, of course, it's that, love and care, but with caution, with, I need to know where you are. Don't just leave the house and leave and not say where you're going. So it's that leadership around, this is how things should be done, and role modeling that, I think, for me.
I think that's wonderful. I appreciate about him that he is going to cook for me when I visit.
I've told him that, by the way.
Yes. And we're going to do a bit of exploring because Kemi will not. And then just coming around to the statement so you talked about your son. What type of a man do you think you have raised in him?
Oh, wow. He is so, oh my goodness, he is, and I'd hate to, well, I shouldn't say I hate to say this to his face, but he is so kind-hearted. He takes after his dad's heart. Super kind-hearted. And I'll give you an example. A few months ago, I was taking out the bin to put outside in the main bin outside, because of course we had the bin men to come on a Monday. So this was Sunday. And I was trying to take it out and I didn't wrap it, right? And he looked at me and goes, Mom, are you not going to wrap the bin? And I said, don't have to, I'm taking it outside. And he goes, no, but Mom, somebody's going to have to do that for you. Somebody's got a job, an awful job of taking the bins. And if it's open, it's just going to spill. And I thought, oh my goodness, how kind, how thoughtful are you that you can think that deep about somebody who's going to have to pick that up. And he's that kind of a person, super kind-hearted, knows what he wants to do and is doing it. So he wants to do fashion design. And I'm grateful to God that he just got admission into university, a bit delayed because he was doing other things and needed to get things right. But he knows what he wants to do. He wants to do fashion design. He's starting to think about, future. He works. So again, this is something that I never did until I became independent in terms of coming to the UK. So for him, I was against, why do you need to work, Tisha? You don't need to work. You don't need money. Why do you need to work? And he goes, no, Mom, but it's not about the work. It's about just the experience. And I thought, of course I know this. But you know how you are, protective, and it's like, oh, no, you don't need to work. And then he goes and works in a place where, oh my gosh, my husband called Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm not going to go into it today. I'll have to tell you that after. He goes and works there, and the hours he gets, crazy hours. Well, I have to say, I was like, no, Tisha, you can't do this job anymore. You need to find. He goes, no, Mom, I need to learn. I need to learn. I need to grow. I'm like, wow, this is a 19-year-old who's all about, I need to grow, I need to learn, I need to understand how things are in the workplace so that when I graduate and I have to work, I can understand how people relate. I can understand how people interact. I can understand the things that happen in the workplace. And for me, that's like, whoa, okay, this is really, really good stuff. Because I think as Nigerian parents, you kind of feel like, oh no, they're a bit protected and sheltered and they don't need to work and just focus on your education and do nothing else. But he is different in that, no, whilst I do want to have my education and do other things, I think I should work. And now it's about, oh, I need to drive. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Just so I've kind of raised him to not depend on anyone, not to depend on. So if again, I was away. So myself and my husband, we were away. We were in Nigeria in February for my dad's funeral. And we left both of them at home. And they managed the home. They cooked, they cleaned, didn't have a problem, no issues, no major concerns, no disasters. So again, for me, it's like, okay, they're responsible enough to take charge, to know what to do and just do it. So yeah, I'm happy and grateful to God that, that he's particularly my son Tisha, he's very measured and would often tell my daughter, Tony, off. He would often sit her down and say, your attitude stinks. Can you not do that? And you sort of see the father in him, like he fathers my daughter, which is quite interesting, even though we're there.
And what about Tony?
Oh my gosh, she is the madam of the house. So
Yes, he is.
whilst Cliche, he's the boy, he would say, so to me, he said, Mom, I'm going to uni, but I'm going to go from home. I'm not going to go to the hostel. I'm not going to go to, I want to stay at home. I'm happy being at home, and all of this. My daughter, on the other hand, madam, Mom, I'm leaving the house next year. You know that, right? You know that. You know I'm leaving the house next year. I'm like, yes. Where would you like to go? As far away as possible. As far away as possible. I'm like, really? Okay, I'm coming with you. No, Mom, you're not. No, Mom, you're not. So she is, again, very different to my son. So my son, Tisha, is very tidy, very neat, tidy. My daughter, no. It's Tony, you need to fix your room. You need to do this. So, okay. Very outgoing, very mature, very sensible, extremely sensible. So, she'd think about things before she would talk. And at the moment, she's telling me, Mom, I need to start a business. So it's going to be summertime soon, and I'm not going to work because I'm not sure anyone will employ me right now. So I'm going to have to think of a business that I can do. So, Mom, what do you think? And I think Bankole Williams is doing this Live Your Dreams Africa. And he had this thing where he teaches, or he has asked, I think he brings on young teenagers to learn a trade.
A trade,
so
yes.
it's wig making. So I put her forward for that. And she got on. So she's going to learn how to make wigs. And she's like, okay, Mom, let's get on with it. Right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And just last week, she was telling me, right, Mom, I've got this idea. I'm going to get all my cousins together, make their wigs, do a photo shoot, and that's how I'm going to start. And she's pretty much like sensible, forward thinking. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Yeah, my grades are going to be okay. I'm going to go into the university I want. And by the way, Mom, did you know I'm going to America actually? I'm not staying in the UK. So, maybe after my uni, I might I'm not staying around. I'm not hanging around. I'm going to America and that's it. And she knows what she wants to do. So she wants to be a civil rights lawyer. Yeah. And I'm really impressed with her, just how she is and what she sees herself doing. There are days she just sits there and goes, that's going to be my car. So, I'm going to have a Ferrari, and that would be for maybe business meetings. And I'm going to live, my apartment is going to look like this. And my children are going to be called this. And she's only 17, going on 18. And she's already thinking so far ahead. And I like that because she can see a future. And you know what they say about a future that you can't see, you can't get to. So if she's thinking that at the age of 18, I wasn't thinking that at the age of 18, that, I'm going to have X amount of kids and my husband's going to be doing this and my partner's going to be, I'm going to have this apartment overlooking some beach and this and that. And I'm like, whoa, okay, hold on, slow down. Where's all of this coming from? But that's the kind of person she is. Futuristic. She's a visionary, and I love that about her. My son Tisha's like that, but very calm about it. So he does all those things. So when you interrogate him, you find out like, whoa, okay, you've got a lot going on, and he doesn't really say much. But my daughter, she would come out and go, right, that's what I'm doing, blah 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 blah. She's a bit more vocal than Tisha, my son. But yeah,
She's
they're both.
also extremely adventurous.
Mm,
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely,
she is.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So we were very adamant we were going to do this in 30 minutes. We're now we're
I
now at
told
51 minutes.
you we wouldn't.
And for those of you watching out there, the reason why we're laughing is that so Kemi and I talk, we speak every day in some way or another. It started with, text messages. And then one day it was just too much. There was just too much. And these are several messages a day. So one day it was just too much that I needed to say to her. So I sent her a voice note. So we then sent voice notes back and forth every day. And recently we broke a record where my voice note, one of the many in that 30-minute span in that one day. So there were several in the day, and in that 30-minute span, there were several. And one of them was 13 minutes. And so yesterday, Kemi, was it yesterday or the day before? Kemi sent me a message, and then she looked, as she was still talking, she looked down and realized that it was 10 minutes long. And she said, "Oh, I haven't beat you yet. Let me stop now." So this is how we are. We're now at 52 minutes, 39 seconds. But I just want to wrap up and say, again, this is something that I hadn't thought about before, but now that we're here, what is the one thing you would say to your dad, if you could?
Oh, wow. I would say that I'm making him proud. I'm absolutely making him proud, because when he died, I realized a few things about him that I never knew. Even though it was staring at me in the face, I didn't see it, and I probably didn't appreciate it until he died. And that is that my father was never argumentative. He would, so my mom, oh my gosh, she could nag for England. My dad would say a word or two, and my mom would carry on nagging, and my dad wouldn't say a word. Even if my mom was wrong, he would not say a single word. When he died, I realized he was the same with his siblings. And so there were things that were happening that he just backed off and just left them and wanted peace, and would just make peace regardless of whether he was right or wrong. And so that's something that so when he died, I kind of promised that I would do that. I would try as much as possible to not always try to be right. Like, you know, when you feel like, oh, I said it, I knew it. And it almost kind of makes you feel like it's a competition, you're winning. It's, you know, you're in this, you don't have to be like that. You don't have to do that. And I'm learning that that's a journey for me. And in me doing that, I think that would make my dad proud. Not just that, but proud that I'm living his values. So pretty much all his values I'm living, and he would just be so proud that we're not doing the things that we weren't brought up to, you know, we weren't brought up to do. So the way I am, what I'm doing, how I'm moving on in life, how I'm progressing, it's all in line with those values that he imbibed in all of us his children. So yeah, I think he would absolutely be proud of me. Mm.
You know what? I think I would say the same thing. I would say to him that our dreams, mine and his, for me, that I'm working on them.
Mm.
And I would want him to know that I was working on them, that I heard him, that I heard you, Daddy. I
Mm.
heard you and I'm working at it. And I see the sense now. Whereas before I would argue and I'd be like, but why? But now, almost in hindsight, I see what he was driving me to do. I see why he was driving me to do certain things, and I'm working on it.
Mm.
And at the same time, to be honest, I would want to say to him, and I don't think I ever said this to him. I know he knew I loved him. I said that to him daily. But I don't think I ever told him how proud I was of him. And I would
Oh,
want to say that to him, that I'm proud of the person
thank
he was, and in my sight, how he
you.
modeled certain things and how he raised me.
Mm.
And I say me, I have siblings, but I'm speaking for
Yeah,
me. I'm
yeah,
speaking
of
for
course.
because this one is my story and they have their stories, so I won't say for us. I'm pretty sure we share the same sentiments, but I will not speak for anybody but me. I'm proud of how he raised me and the things he instilled in me, and that he was that African father who was not afraid to tell me he loved me. Was not he wouldn't. Oh, so this was the other thing. So I have four sisters and a brother, and there was nothing we couldn't do or achieve or go for just because we were girls. He's like, you want to do that? Okay, let's do that. Let's do it. Let's go for it. So I would want to tell him that I was proud of him, and I still am. I am proud of how the battle he fought towards the end of his life and how bravely he fought, and he fought, and I would want him to know that I'm proud of him. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And on that note, before we get all teary eyed, we are
Yeah,
celebrating.
yeah,
Um, you know, I think he's happy.
of course, of
I think he's
course,
happy. I know where he is, so I have peace with that.
of course.
I think he's sitting somewhere watching Arsenal, having a cup of tea and observing African politics. And every time somebody else enters heaven or doesn't, he's like, huh, okay, these African leaders and world leaders, really, and just having a good old laugh. I really think that's how I want to think of him.
Mm.
And so, yeah, as you guys watch this on Father's Day,
Mm.
again, I pray that there's somebody out there who needed to hear this, who needed to hear us laughing about these things. It's not always a good day. We don't always laugh about them, but today we chose to. And I was speaking to a friend of mine earlier this week who underwent a heartbreaking tragedy. She lost her husband, and is now raising her two kids. And she told me, I don't know how we came about this subject. And she said, you know what? Somebody said to her, but you have chosen to be happy when others didn't. So there are days when, yes, the grief will come, and the sadness will come and the tears will come, and it's okay to have those. But on a day like today, we have chosen to be happy and to celebrate with laughter and smiles and friendship and giggles and lots of stories. Believe it or not, it's 11:30 in Rome, that would mean it's 10:30 in the UK. And Kemi and I will still speak after this. We will have plenty of stories to tell each other.
Oh,
But
bless.
yeah, but it was a deliberate choice that today we were going to celebrate. So I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Please, when you do watch this, drop a comment, like, subscribe to my channel. Look out for my book, Hugs from the Father. It's coming out next month. I'm super excited. It's been 3 years in the making. 3 years writing this book. And yeah, we're at that point where it's coming out. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And Kemi and I are very open about, and we're very able to talk about this truthfully, authentically, without hiding or embellishing about our journeys. But if you feel that you have no hope and you just want to talk, I will happily say reach out to me, and let's talk. So again, this is 1 hour. This is Beverly Speaks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for
Thank
tuning.
you.
Remember now and remember always that you are loved and you are enough. Tune in next week for my next guest when we will still be celebrating fatherhood next week. So, yeah, love you and thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye bye.